Hi there, my name is Justin Bond, and this is where I live. And what I thought I'd do is start posting a few videos to YouTube. I use YouTube a lot for all kinds of stuff. Learning how to do things, anything from sharpening a chainsaw to, fitting a saddle. It's pretty useful. There's really a good community of people that post videos, all kinds of helpful stuff. So, we do a lot of stuff around here. We're always doing something. We're always fixing something, building something, learning how to do things, learning how not to do things. And so, I thought I'd start making a few videos of the things we do around here. But before I did that, I thought I'd start with an introduction. Because a lot of times these videos you see, you learn some, you see some guy do some incredible thing, but you have no idea who he is. So I thought I'd start with a quick introduction about where we are, how we got here. We're on a cattle ranch in central Utah, Sanpete County. It's an Angus cross beef cattle ranch. They run about 600, 800 cows, something like that. It's called Warm Creek Ranch. It's owned by my mom and my aunts and uncles. It was originally owned by my grandfather, Clyde Dorius, and there was even property that his parents owned before that. Their names were Lewis and Violet Dorius. They also farm. They farm about 1,000 acres, 1,500 acres, something like that. The nearest town is called Fayette. It's just over that hill there. But there's no store, there's no gas station. There used to be. It closed in 1986. The nearest gas station's about 5 or 6 miles away in Gunnison. My great-grandfather Lewis homesteaded here, 1880s or something like that. And I think he had 6 kids. He had 1 son and 5 daughters. And Clyde was the son, he was the youngest. And Lewis died when Clyde was 12 years old. So at 12 years old, Clyde had to take over the ranch. He had to feed those sisters and his mom. He was born in 1907, so his dad would have died in somewhere around 1920. There wasn't any food stamps or anything back then. So he just had to drop out of school and start working. He died in 2000, so he was 94 years old. This is called Yuba Valley. There's a river down there. It's called the Sevier River. When I was a kid, at some point I heard that it was the shortest river that ran the longest distance in America, or the world. I don't know, because it winds back and forth so much. So if you stretched it out, it'd be the longest river. Something like that. The headwaters of the Sevier River are down in Bryce Canyon. It flows up through here. It goes around these mountains. These are called the Valley Mountains. It goes around those mountains, the north end of those mountains, turns and heads back to the southwest, and dries up in a place called Sevier Dry Lake. So that's what the Great Basin is. It's a big basin in the west, big bowl where none of the water ever gets to the ocean. It just dries up in various places. There are a lot of Native Americans along this river. Clear back, even Clovis. If you know who Clovis is, it's just one of the first people in America, they think. They found a Clovis Point down in Richfield, about 60 miles away, along the river. And then along this river to the north, over by Delta, there's an obsidian outcrop. And some obsidian from that outcrop was found in a Clovis cache in, I think, New Mexico. So after that it was I can't remember what they call them. I think they call them the Ancients. They don't know much about that particular Native American. They're the ones that did those big triangular figures, those pictographs, if you've ever seen them. Then you had the Fremont. There are a lot of Fremont here. There's Fremont pictographs, there's pit houses, there's arrowheads. A lot of times in January, February, when there's a warm spell, there's no snow on the ground, it's a good time to look for arrowheads. So we might do that. In fact, you can see flint naps, flakes right around here, just right up there on that hill behind, up there. I've found flint, napped flint. So my great-grandfather came here late 19th century. They all ran Herefords back then. And they all ran their cattle together on these state and federal leases. And one time, sometime in the 30s or 40s, my grandpa was in, Clyde was in Missouri. And he saw these black Angus cattle. So he decided to buy a few of them and ship them out here. And at the time, nobody wanted those black cows around their Herefords. So they kind of squeezed him out of his leases. He had a lease up 12 Mile, he had a lease on this side of the valley. And eventually he wound up over in those mountains over there. It's called the Valley Mountains. And he could run his black cows over there and nobody bothered him. This guy had a sheep operation over there, but he didn't care. These Angus cattle tend to do better in this country. It's really dry here, and there's not a lot of water. There's not a lot of natural water sources. And you go for miles and miles without any water. So any water on these ranges, you got to develop. You got to drill, you got to run pipe, you got to pump. And the Angus will tend to go farther away from the water sources looking for feed. They might go off 2 or 3 miles. They might go off for 2 days if it's not really hot. So they're kind of a little more hardy and better suited to this particular country. They do better here. This particular piece of ground, it's 200 acres. Clyde bought it in the 40s. He used to have his cattle operation down in town. He had a house down there where he raised his family. And his operation got too big. There wasn't room down there. So he came up and bought this property to put his feed yard and his corrals and all that. And at the time, after the Great Depression, or around World War II or after World War II, the county wanted to get some of this land on its tax rolls. So if somebody's willing to buy this arid, sagebrush, rocky country, they didn't mind because they were starting to collect taxes on it. So we paid 30 cents an acre for this. It's right around 200 acres, 190 acres, so that's $60. And then at some point in the 70s, Clyde got tired of living down in town, so he moved up here. He originally lived in a mobile home up on the hill there, and then he built this cabin that I'm in 1980. He died in 2000, so his cabin was abandoned for 12 or 15 years. When I came along, there was nothing here. There was no power, there was no water. Everything was gone out of it. The sinks, the toilets, everything had been stolen. The floors were plywood. Windows were broken out. It was full of snakes and squirrels. So I basically started. There was no stove, there was no heat. I started from scratch. I've been here 1 year and 10 months. And down here I've got some buffalo, some horses. I just built a chicken coop. I just built a pig pen. I'm gonna get some chickens here in around Christmas. A friend of mine down in town's got some. So that's the kind of stuff we're gonna be doing. I'm chopping wood, shooting guns, riding horses, fixing cars, helping on the ranch, raising chickens, pigs. There's all kinds of stuff going on. So anyway, I thought I'd start making some videos and see how they go. I think the next thing I'll do is go on a quick tour of what we got up here.